Okay, so in my first video, I kind of left off with a screen share of this screen here, which is kdenlive. It's a video editing software. It's the one I landed on. It's supposed to be pretty featureful, somewhat easy to use, but also allows you to do some of the more advanced stuff that the expensive paid-for programs let you do as well. So just kind of go over some things quickly, and then after I just kind of show you what the first project looks like, then I'll kind of go into just a quick tutorial on how to set that up. So you have these video streams here, video tracks. I think they're called tracks maybe. And so it comes set up with just V1, V2, A1, A2, and then when you pull in your stuff, it kind of just populates it for you. But just to kind of go over this pretty quickly, this is the these are like actual video clips. These are what are from OBS, the screen recording software that I'm using. And so this is an actual video clip, and then you can see if you go up here, you can see that there's these little chunks in V2, and these are those little text. They're called like title clips, but these are the little text overlays that I added into the video. And so let me zoom out a little bit. This is the entire project. You see how many of these I put in? There's like 20, probably more than 20 of these. But yeah, let me just kind of go through and show you how I set all of this up and how I got it working. I watched some YouTube videos kind of showing how to do some of this text overlay stuff and transitions and stuff. But I'm going to go over all of that, not just kind of link you to the videos, even though, they're better YouTubers than me, and they're better with kdenlive than me. So I'm learning from them, but I'll walk you through it. I don't want to send you on your own research project. The whole point is kind of you can just watch all these videos and learn how to do it, go along with me, do what I'm doing, or some form of it, So actually, let me just stop right here, and I will start a new recording with a blank project, because like I said, this is the kind of final state that the project was in before I actually exported it. So let me do that. Stand by. Okay. Brand new kdenlive project. So this is what you see when you just double click the application kdenlive. This is what it brings up. This is a blank project. So the first thing that I did was try to figure out how to get all of my videos in here. And I just went over to file. It seemed like this is where it would be, but almost everything I found useful is in this project section. And so for adding the videos, what ended up working is just add clipper folder, and then I choose the folder that has the assets in. You can choose them one by one, but I've been organizing them by folder. So this will be the first project. I'll hit OK. Brings up the folder here in this project view, and then this is all of the assets that are there. And so all of these .mkvs are the actual video clips that I took. This is what OBS produces. .mkv, it's like Matroska or something like that. It's pretty high quality uncompressed video, but you can just think of this as like .mp4, .wave or whatever. I don't even know what's common anymore besides mp4. But yeah, these are the video clips, and it's as simple as once you get to this stage, you can just drag these in. And so let's start with intro actually. Intro. So it kind of gives you some. I'm going to zoom out so that it's a little easier to move this stuff around. And that's just control scroll to do that. Okay. And I'm putting everything in video 1. And let's add another one. Okay. There we go. So now we have 3 clips in there in the V1 stream. And in like the simplest form of video editing, this is all you need to do, right? If you just have 3 clips and you want to play them back one after the other, then this is what you would do. Clip 1, and then immediately clip 2 plays, and then immediately after that, clip 3 plays. And that's just stitching things together. But what ends up happening is, you know, a lot of these clips have dead space at the beginning and the end, so you have to end up cutting that part out. And the way that I did it is I just would go over here to this project, this like final build area, and I would hit play, find the part where I want to cut out. Let's just say it was right there. That's where all of the dead space ended, and now we're into what I actually wanted to display. So I hit pause, and then you can right click here and do cut clip, but you can also see that it's just Shift R to do that. So that's what I do. And then, you know, you just come in here, this is the dead space, so you delete that. Just hit the delete button, and then slide this back over and move this back in as you want it. So in practice, what actually happens is, you know, you get to the point that you want to cut. Let's say it's right here. And then what actually happens is that you usually went past it by a little bit. So one of the tricks I learned is that you just hit pause, and then you can use these little down arrows, up and down arrows, to kind of skip back through it. And this might be frame by frame. So you can just kind of skip back, you know, like, and it'll actually play back a little bit of the audio so you can kind of get an idea of when there's dead space. And let's just say, you know, you had to go back, like, it's usually like 20 or 30. And then now, this is now aligned with that. And so now you can cut it there. Boom. And so now this is our cut. And, you know, it's not perfect, but in my experience, it's almost always right about where I need it. So that's been working for me. That's how I've been cutting those out. And then the other thing I did was going back through these clips, you know, kind of just is like the screen recording will end and I'll say like, okay, that's the end of that. And then the other one will pick up and I'll say, okay, here we are. And, you know, having that back to back is kind of jarring. So I wanted to add a transition of some kind. And the way that I did it was I was just looking around for stuff when I found it. And then again, it's in this project section, and I just stumbled upon it, this generators. And so the one I used is just called color bars. You know, I pulled that up, and I was like, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen YouTubers do this. It's usually like a comic way of doing things, like it's funny. And so I just went with this to add in there. And brings up this. There's different options. I just went with this standard one. And then the duration you want it to be, you know, something like this where it's supposed to be quick. Just make it like a second and then hit OK. It'll make you save this as like an actual asset. And of course I already did that, so we'll just duplicate it. And then, yeah, now it's like part of your asset folder. And now you can just drag this in like it's content. And so, yeah, you can't see that because it's super, super small. But if you zoom in, you can see there it is. And so this is our transition right now. So we just have 1 second of bars. I'll just bring this over here so you can kind of see what it looks like. Looking up here. That was really quick. Let's go back. Play that again. Boom. So that's our transition that I created between the clips. And it doesn't really work well, but the way I was looking at it is it's better than nothing, and it at least shows that I attempted to do something. And again, you know, it's a learning experience, so I know how to add simple stuff in like that. And then that's just what I did between all of the video clips. Very, very simple. Nothing too exciting. But then I wanted to add some sort of way of kind of having like comments or information on the screen. Initially, I wanted to make like corrections, you know, or like, oh, I said that incorrectly, or here's actually, or as I'm going through doing stuff, you know, sometimes I forget to mention what I'm doing with the keyboard or the mouse, and so I wanted to add in like, oh, I actually pressed Control Z there to undo that, or I pressed Shift R to slice that clip. So that was initially what I wanted to do, and I ended up just going through and trolling myself through the first video, just because I'd be listening and I'd hear me, you know, go through this cringe-worthy video that I'm making, and I'd be commenting on it, and so that's what I ended up doing, is just adding in text that was trolling myself as I went through it. Some of it's informational, but yeah, it's mostly just mostly just added in there for entertainment, and it's something I learned and wanted to make it part of that first video. So I'll show you kind of how I did that. So I watched a YouTube video, but it's really actually pretty simple. You come up here to this little project pane, you click this drop down, and then you go to add title clip. And I haven't messed with any of this other stuff, so I don't know what it does, or some of it might even be better for what I need to do. But I just did add title clip. That's what I watched. Brings up this little asset creation window again, and it's just text, so you can just add text right in here by clicking this little text box and then clicking where you want it, and then you just edit it to whatever you want. This is some text overlay, and then you can drag it. I think, yeah, you can drag it, but there's also these quick buttons up here that help you like align it. So on all of mine, I just did right align, bottom align. That way it's kind of out of the way, not covering up the content, and it's a little more uniform. Didn't do it on all of them. And then the only other thing I messed with was the duration. So on all of my texts, I did like 2 or 3 seconds just for the simple ones. And then you just hit create title. And then it was actually kind of hard to see, but it added it to this project asset section. So it just names it kind of what you typed in by default. But yeah, now you can drag that down here, and we now have a 2-second overlay that we can add at any point in time. And the way I lined these up, like practically, how I actually went through that process is I would be playing the video, and then it would get to a point that I wanted to comment on, and I'd say like, oh, okay, that was dumb. And then I'd pause it, and then I'd, in that case, say, that was dumb. That'd be the overlay I created. And then I drag it, and then it'll let you snap it to where you paused. So you just snap it to where you paused, and then it's more or less where you wanted it to. And again, if you went too far, you can kind of come up here and dial it back a little bit, and then snap it in there. But yeah, that's kind of how I did that. And the only other thing that I'm going to want to try and figure out with this is I created about 30 or so of these, and once you start doing that, I just created a brand new one every single time. And after you do that many times, it starts getting a little cumbersome in the project area, and it'll be hard to see since I don't have a ton of them. But I added, like I said, I added like 30 of these, and it became hard to tell what was what, because like I started, and some of them were 5 seconds, which was way too long, so I wanted to go back and change them, and it was kind of hard to figure that out. So see if I can find a better solution, but that's what I did with these little text overlays, and that's my first kind of beginner but advanced video to stream thing that I learned. So hopefully when you guys are seeing this video, I'll have something even more advanced. I'll try and get some other thing in this video 2 section, so hopefully you guys get to see that, and then in the next video you'll get to learn about that. So that's kind of how things are going. You guys are going to be watching and kind of seeing the more advanced version of what you're learning and what I'm doing. So like, for example, you're learning in this video about these text overlays, and hopefully I'll have a new feature or a new something that you'll get to learn about in the next one. That's kind of how I'm doing things right now. It seems to make some sense. But yeah, that's what I learned day 1 in kdenlive, and that's what you saw in the first video. That is all I'm going to do for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all later. Brilliant.